If he passes McLaughlin, he's off! He's made a mistake, Lowndes down the inside! They're going to crash! They've hit on the way up the hill! They've broken the front left, he's out of business! Lowndes is out of business! A post-race pit lane penalty for car number 17 for a driving infringement. Jamie Whitcomb is champion.
He was clearly devastated by the end of 2017 and what happened there, and it really shattered him because he knew he lost, as he even calls it himself, the unlosable title.
Something that we'd all dreamed about that Scott could do. We knew he had the ability to do it, and we felt that the year before he was completely robbed of it.
Less than 2.6 kilometres. But now it's all about this young man. The crowd's reacting, and McLaughlin is about to overcome the horrors of Newcastle 2017. Take a bow, Scott McLaughlin.
Selfish to say that I certainly had some water run down my eyes when I saw him coming round for that last lap, that's for sure. He never has experienced an emotional period like that ever again. It was something very, very special.
Big celebration, big result. 365 days later, Ryan Story said it, it's redemption.
Scott's in this perfect place. You can see physically, emotionally, the difference in him now to, say, 2 years ago. He's got the monkey off his back.
Keep an eye out for McLaughlin because this is going to be pretty speedy, and he's done a 29.5, adding to this string of extraordinary pole positions at this location. It's been unbelievable.
After winning the 2018 championship, he seemed to has risen. He's gone to a different place.
That's 8 pole positions in a row here at Phillip Island. I think you've got 10 of the last 14. What is it about Phillip Island and you that are just working so in sync together?
Be in a good frame of mind and know what you want from the car, and I feel like the last 3 years I've had a car that I've got everything out of it.
Congratulations once again.
Thank you, cheers.
It took him to a new level. He's more professional, he's more relaxed, he's in a happy spot.
He's in a very special place because, this is a year that he's going to get married, so he's found the love of his life. Certainly could see the improvement in Scott.
He just seems like he's in a really good place, so it's nice to see.
Love you.
Love it.
He's just in a great place, and we're enjoying the journey as much as what he is.
I don't know if anyone's ever gone 8 poles in a row at the same track, ever.
Well, he's just about caught, Brocky. 52 poles
Yeah,
now.
so he's got 5 to go.
I think just the whole setting he's got around himself now is really good, and he's embraced the Team Penske way, which I think initially he maybe struggled with the pressure of that in early 2017. He's come, I think, to work out he can still be Scott McLaughlin and be Penske as well. I think he's really struck that balance between the corporate global domination that is Penske and the kid from New Zealand that is just a knockabout, affable, outgoing personality.
Come on, mate, you can do this. Nothing like being here and being amongst the team and just, the emotions and, going on the grid, and especially when he's on pole. Come on, Scotty.
It's always nice to have Mum and Dad around, just like the old days, when me and Dad, we used to go to karting and together in the trailer, and it's just really cool to have them around, and especially, Mum gets nervous, and Dad, who's probably more competitive than I am.
Yeah, Scott did.
Scott got it, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think he got it.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's got the white front, doesn't he?
It's a very emotional time for us. As a family, you live and dream it, so, you really wear it hard, How's that, eh? Hey? Good boy, eh? 1, 2. Ah, yeah. Awesome.
Well done.
Yeah. Go to the podium? Yeah, thanks, Helen. Thank you.
It's fabulous.
Oh, it is.
He enjoys us being here and having the family involvement with him. It's pretty special to him and it's pretty special to us.
They really helped him get to where he is. So for him to be able to win, and even if he doesn't win, just to see their smiles, it's just so nice.
Good. Hey, high five. What are you doing? Come on. Come on.
Really is in the purple patch of his career right now, isn't he, Scott McLaughlin? There is the number 17, the series leader, and just unstoppable again in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. Andy Jones alongside me. We just saw the final practice session happen just a few moments ago, and he's at the top, and this was the scenes right afterwards, going through and shaking the hands. There is the captain, Roger Penske, in the house as well this weekend too, before he heads back to Indianapolis for a big month over there, the big 500 coming up at the end of the month. But so cool to see this guy here in his straps at DJR Team Penske.
It certainly is, and for anyone that's playing Roger Brush's Scotty McLaughlin bingo at home, you can stamp your pad, because that was another one that he's just struck up there. It seems to happen more regularly than not, so it's quite, at least Scotty's getting used to it, and he's able to deal with it with a bit of humour. All
qualifying coming up very soon, but we're getting set for the final race of the historic touring cars supporting the Perth Super Night event. This is highlights from over the weekend. We've got a grid of over 30 cars, and every kind of car you can think of is in the field.
There certainly is. What an eclectic mix. That's a shot of Aldo Di Paoli when he was on the front row of this grid, but unfortunately a couple of mechanical issues have snuck into that car and has buried him way down in the pack. Brian Bondi, he's been the crowd favourite. I've spoken to a few people that watched the race last night and said, geez, that Monaro spent a lot of the race sideways.
The Jags didn't have a good run in the first race. They're both retiring on the same lap in the first of the events. This is when Aldo started to slow before the safety car came out. It was an electrical issue with the number 96 Chevy Camaro. Went back into the pits, and then he would charge through the field later in the race. We went back to green flag racing. It was a fairly tardy restart. Big gaps in the mid-pack there, wasn't there?
There was some big gaps, but there was also some really good little battles happening as well. A couple of cars are emitting a little bit of smoke, a little bit more than we'd like to see. But it didn't stop this guy from greeting the checkered flag, and it didn't stop Brian Bondi from being able to hang it out one last time before he came across the strike.
2.4 kilometres usual length. I think it's about 2.9 every lap he did around here. And that car snapping sideways. Big carnival atmosphere here at Barbagallo Raceway. Great crowd early on in the afternoon here. Big afternoon of racing still to come, and looking forward when the big bright lights come on and we go racing in the night, the Perth Super Night event.
Whenever I see that Ferris wheel over there, I've always been curious what it would be like in a washing machine as a shirt being washed, and I reckon if I jumped in one of those, that'd be about as close as it would get to the same feeling.
Shall we experience it later on?
Definitely not.
No, exactly, I'm the same. Let's go down the pits with Kylie King.
And you found me way out the back of the paddock, nowhere near pit lane. It's a bumper field in this historic touring car racing. Just spare a thought for the guys about to take off in this one, because we've got a reverse grid handicap. So for the start for this one, it's the slowest from qualifying is actually at the front, but then the field is split even more. So the quicker cars will start their reverse grid rate 40 seconds later. So it'll look a bit confusing off the start line, but be patient, folks, and I'm sure you'll see some great racing, especially with the Bondi boys right up the back. And I believe one of them's got our onboard Foxtel cameras, so I'm sure you'll see plenty of action.
And John Bondi will carry that one. In fact, Kylie King's at the entry gate to Barbagallo Raceway. That's how long the line of cars is to come out. It will be a busy race. Rest assured of that one, folks.
I would like to see that onboard camera that Brian Bondi is carrying firmly placed on the underside of the... Well, it's up with John Bondi, actually, not Brian. We can go on board with John. He's driving his car a lot straighter. If we got the choice, Brian would be a much more exciting ride.
It's hard to tell whether he's putting heat through the tyres or he's actually going around the corner.
Or he's just getting used to Brian's driving style there.
Yeah, he's just ahead. So, as Kylie King touched on down in the paddock, a reverse grid race. So the fast cars, like Freeman, like Di Paoli, are coming from the last row of the grid. And if you're in a Mini or your favourite, the Volvo, you're starting towards the front of this race today.
Oh, it's always such a tense time in any category when we put the slower guys towards the front of the field, we put the faster guys at the back, and we give them 10 laps to see how far they can change their positions. Now, Nolts, we know that when the closing speed is big and you invert a grid like this, some action will take place for sure.
Oh, guaranteed.
Guaranteed. No question about it.
Tiranas and Capris and Minis and even a Datsun 1200 that will start from the front row. Willem Schipper will start alongside Simon Northey. Ken Waller starts out of 3 alongside Trevor Fez, Graham Craig and Gary Edwards. Dean Weston and Laurie Lapsley in the Jag start on the 4th row. Michael Holmes and Randall Beavis start out of position number 10. Now, there's a gap missing there on row number 8. That's deliberate to split the fields up for this race. So Thierry Michaud will be the last car on that row before we move into the faster cars. Robert Poglix, Kono Onofaro, the Mini starting back in 18th position. And then you start to see some of the names that have been at the front of the historic touring cars field since the lights went out here on Thursday. Di Paoli starting on the back row with Freeman. The view from the Vodafone Ford Mustang safety car. Hopefully we won't see that during this race.
Hopefully not, but a distinct possibility.
High possibility. I'm trying to be positive. Final few cars coming around into position. What an historical racetrack this is. Opened back in March 1969. They had their Golden Jubilee event back in March, celebrating 50 years. It's witnessed some great racing. One of the oldest stops on the Virgin Australia Supercars calendar. And now just waiting for the final few cars to lock into position. We can see a Tirana and Mini outside our window. And just swapping a couple of cars into positions. The Bondi brothers just adjusting their grid position here.
Definitely no reverse cameras fitted to these cars, so they'll be using the mirrors that are hanging off the sides of the car and the one from within the cockpit. Green flag at the back now.
All right, settle in. The fast cars coming from the back. The Datsun on the front row, ready for a start. There will be a handicap gap in between the first group of cars and the second group of cars. And then the chasing will begin. So the first group of cars get underway in race number 4. The Mini on the charge already from the second row. And now the nervous will feel like an eternal wait for the next group of cars to do the chasing.
And Simon Northey has just swooped around the front of Bill Shipper. That was a big move to lead through the first corner.
So up they go. And into turn number 4. The Jag in the mix. That's Laurie Latchley, car number 8. He stopped in race number 2 over the weekend. And still, the faster cars waiting anxiously. You can see him in the background of that shot, ready for takeoff. As the rest of the field come down towards turn 6. And now they get underway. The charge of the fast cars is underway here at Barbagallo. There's some 35 seconds behind the group of cars. You'll see the leading cars coming to the shot in the background. In a few moments' time, they're plunging down the hill here at Barbagallo.
So there is a bit of science behind this handicap, let's call it, or the time difference between the first group leaving and the second group leaving, and that is so that all these guys here can sort themselves out a little bit, try and give them a little bit of time for the fast guys here to move forward, the slow guys to move back before the really fast guys come and deal themselves in, because you could imagine the chaos that would ensue here. Now, I need to apologise. That's actually Trevor Fairs that was leading the race there, so he sees that opportunity on the opening lap.
That's Wesson going off the track there, and the little Cortina pulling out the race. It's on the charge at the end of the first lap, so across the top of turn number 3 we go. These cars working lap number 2. And here comes the faster cars down the back straight towards turn number 7. Snarling pack of historic touring cars. Di Paoli slicing his way through the field. He'll take 2 cars on the outside here at turn number 7 as they complete the first lap.
That was a really aggressive move from Di Paoli. Had so much momentum in that car. We know it's strong, we know it's fast. But when he came up over the crest of the hill there, he came across a roadblock. He had to move to the left-hand side of the road and use the open space effectively. Brake late, still going around the outside. Di Paoli's on a mission.
17th position already from 29th on the grid. Here comes the leading group with Randall Beavis in the mix. The Datsun 1200 drops back behind the Mini now. And the Jag running back in 4th. Looks like it's just cruising in this race, but he's not, diving down the inside of the Datto.
That Datto is great. Look at it, such an iconic car. Not only in circuit racing, but also in rallying. Iconic shots of that car, spending as much time sideways as the Brian Bondi Monaro is normally.
Crosswell in the background, that shot. The Mini, like a little Jack Russell, attacking the back of Beavis. It's Lance Stannard who runs in 2nd position. While the fast cars come through to complete another lap here. Grant Johnson is 13th in the Tirana. Di Paoli is now 14th, make it 13th. He just got Johnson at the start-finish line. They come out of turn number 1, but still, about 25 seconds behind the cars ahead.
And that little mini of Lance Stannard's has proven to be an absolute rocket ship so far this weekend. Having a really good battle with Thierry Michaud in his Corvette. And in race 1, he led Thierry's Corvette, which is clearly a faster car, for a fair portion of that race. So we know that Lance Stannard, he loves to win, he loves a battle, he loves to lead. Can he get past Randall Beavers and lead this race?
John Bondy just getting past the big two-door Ford Galaxy. Out of the hairpin, and now we'll zip past the XU1 Tirana, back to the leading cars. Randall Beavis and Lance Stannard climbing the hill at turn number 4. The Mini just nibbling away at the back. Laurie Lapsley runs in third in the Jag. We go back to Schipper in the Dado in 4th position, then the first of the Mustangs in 5th position right now. What a mix of cars we have in the top 10.
I have got a smile going from ear to ear watching Lance Stannard all over the back of Randall Beavis' car, trying to find a way past. Doesn't look like it should be there.
No. Will they stay there? When we get to the end of 10 laps, here's Freeman, Woolhouse, and Bondy climbing turn number 4. Sort of stopped a bit now. They're up to 13th position, but continue to eat away at the time. I would say, Andy, maybe another lap or two, they're going to be knocking on the door of the top 10. Replay down here in turn number 1.
And that's a replay of the right rear on the 112.
That's the original tyre, by the way, from the 60s. Barely done any work.
You know what that's called? Tyre conservation.
The whole turn, Andy.
That's weight jacking at its best going on there. Just loading the car up on that left front tyre and saving a whole heap of Hoosier tread from wearing out on that right rear at the same time.
Go-karting with a roof. The Mini, isn't it? This was a move down at turn number 1, and this was the change to the lead.
So that is Lance Stannard. He's got the job done. Couldn't even see him on the approach to turn 1 there from behind Randall Beat. He just snuck out and went, boom, here I am.
Look at the Mini go now.
Got the job done. So that'll help Stannard because he's certainly got some pace in that car. He was being held up by Randall Beavis, but he couldn't get by him because every time he got to the straights, he would just get left behind. Now, here's that Corvette that I spoke of earlier. Lance Stannard won't want to see that car coming at him in his mirror, but he has had a couple of really cracking battles with Thierry over this weekend, so he'll know how to race him. And I can guarantee you Stannard will be loving leading this race. Oh, well, I am anyway. I'm loving that he's leading it.
Both of us are. Here's the 96 coming by. Valdo Di Paoli, pole position here on Thursday, and now is in 11th position. As we're in the second half of this race, I like the odds of him maybe taking the win here today if he doesn't have any dramas, but still a few cars ahead here. We're seeing some issues here perhaps from the 112 of Conor Onofaro, and this is why. Wow. Ouch. In turn number 7, that wouldn't be much fun inside that car.
No, definitely not, particularly when it was almost, when you look at the size of the two vehicles, the little Mini's about half the size. That's not a fair battle.
No.
They're in the wrong weight divisions.
Down the hill we go, lap 6 of 10. You're watching the 78 at Crosswell. Behind there is Holmes and Edwards, and Di Paoli now in 10th position, 3 seconds behind this group of cars, and here he comes in the Chevy Camaro. From 29th on the grid, folks, he is now approaching the top 10. Here's Bondy coming down the hill with that.
So is the smoke coming out of the rear of Bondy's car? No, it's not. I thought maybe that was a tyre rubbing from that contact that we saw with Onofaro, but it doesn't look like it is. It's just a little bit of historic touring cars smoke screen.
How's the wheel work into turn number 1? Almost a full turn. And now we'll sit on the shoulder, as we call it parrot cam, across the top of turn number 3. So Bondy running back in 13th position.
What I'm noticing here, though, that's really standing out is how much John is turning that steering wheel to not actually get around the corner much. It does it, for me, it looks visually a bit strange. Has he got an issue here? Because I wouldn't expect that the car needs that amount of turned steering wheel to actually navigate this circuit. There's something is disconnected here.
His approach to turn 6 was on the opposite side to where he'd normally run. It's not hurting the straight line speed. He picks off another car, now finds himself in 12th. He started 28th in the race. There's still Lance Stannard out there in the 64 spec Mini Cooper S. This car first hit the racetracks in Sydney back in 1982 and still going strong in 2019.
So I've just got some word from our resident motorsport guru here in the commentary box, Oscar Fiorano, and he has just said to me, perhaps that's got a steering box in it, which will change the ratio of the steering wheel being turned versus what the wheels at the ground are doing. But I look at that, and man, that would do my head in. It doesn't make sense. The ratio is way out of whack. There's a lot of wheel work going on. It needs to be the complete opposite way, almost like they've got it in the wrong way, and it should be helping, and he should be turning the steering wheel less for the front wheels to be doing more.
I think you described it, if you're following me, you described it like driving a forklift the other day.
Perhaps. Exactly.
Well, it's on heading down here now. Di Paoli on the outside of the Mustang, pinches the right front. Is he going to pull it off? Oh, no! He goes off the background. Will he get it out? Yes, he will. But he's dropped a couple of positions. He doesn't need to be doing that this late in the race with 2 laps to go.
Felt like then as Di Paoli was coming back on the road there that he was going to make contact with that Mustang. Thankfully, 2 cars avoided each other. Now with 2 laps to go, Lance Stannard in the Mini has a 1.4 second margin. This is a replay of Di Paoli really deep into the final corner. Locks that right front, sprays up more sand than the Egyptians.
Andy, seriously.
Look at that. Off those big Hoosiers in the rear there. Plenty of sand coming up. Luckily got himself out of the sand pit.
I believe the one-liner's the comedian, son.
Sorry, mate. That was terrible.
Down the hill.
Apologise for that.
Is Lance Stannard. And here comes Thierry Michaud. Heading down towards turn number 7. It'll be 1 lap to go. Di Paoli's in the background. Can he do this with 1 to go?
I'm backing Stannard here in the Mini. What's he got his arm out the window for? He looks like he's whipping the little Mini like a horse there. That was brilliant. Trying to get a little bit more speed out of it. A little bit of showmanship.
Certainly wasn't fat arming that time, was he?
Definitely not.
Here's Di Paoli. Still got 1 lap to go. Like he's back on the clay at the Motorplex. Oh no, the 89's off now, down at turn 7.
So what this will do is it will bring out the yellow flags at turn 7, and it'll take away an overtaking opportunity from Aldo Di Paoli. But the question is Di Paoli going to be able to even greet the flag when he's got that much angle on it? Is that Shane Van Gisbergen I can hear running out to watch Di Paoli finish this race?
Taking some tips. Hope the crew told him there's still 1 lap to go. This isn't the cool-down lap. And now he chases Stannard. And he'll just eat the Mini alive. It was all for show. And just takes the lead so easily from 29th on the grid. In the reverse grid race here today, they've turned on some great action. And Di Paoli drifts his way out of the final turn to win a thriller here at Barbagallo Raceway. Well done to this entire field. Really exciting motor racing. And Di Paoli, probably the slowest cool-down lap now in history.
Yeah. Oh, my heart has sunk for Lance Stannard. So close. It was almost inevitable, though, wasn't it, that Di Paoli would be able to catch him, and did it in unbelievable form. So much style.
He led 23.5 kilometres of that race, and the final 500 metres he lost the lead. And here so this is the start, cracking the whip down the main straight, sending the Mini home. And he's got a smile as well.
Exactly, he's got a big smile on his face. He knows that he's bringing better comedy than I am to the table, that's for sure.
Di Paoli.
How is this angle here? Look at the front wheels on Di Paoli's car. If that was in a drift competition, he would get 10 out of 10 for style points.
That was cool.
That was really cool.
He still had time to do that on the final lap. What a weekend it's been. The historic touring cars on the support bill here. Aldo Di Paoli from 29th on the grid nips home past the Mini on the final lap here. Lance Stannard will finish 2nd. Terry Michaud finishes in third ahead of Patrick Dick. Randall Beavis in fifth. Greg Freeman, Gregory Jones, Laurie Lapsley in the Jag finishes inside the top 10 with Brian Bondi. Get back to Gary Edwards, William Schipper in 13th. They started towards the front. Ken Waller in the Volvo completing the top 20 in race number 4 of the historic touring cars. They've been a great addition here as part of the Perth Super Night. A couple of cars that didn't make the grid in the final race. The Mini pulling to the left-hand side, and Bondi just putting out a small fire down there at the beach. What a great event it's been. All 4 races have been highly entertaining.